Yo, yo, yo. Hey guys, welcome back to another awesome edition of the Best Practices Show. Our job here is to help you create a better practice and a better life. And how we do that is we bring on some of the rock stars in dentistry. And this is an awesome rock star. Her name is Anne Duffy. She created a cool movement called D.E.W, D-E-W, Dental Entrepreneur Women. And the story behind this movement we share today. It's awesome. So please listen. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. One of the cool things I get to do on a podcast is interview rock stars in this great industry of dentistry. And I've got a great one today. She's not only been a hero to me, but to a lot of you who have watched her grow. And she's created this entire brand that really gives a lot of power to a specific group of people. And I'm going to let her tell the entire story. So I have Anne Duffy on today. Anne, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you.
Well, thanks for having me. This is really fun. I love getting to know you better, and I love what you've done over the years. I've watched your career, and I love all the people that you've surrounded yourself with and grown your business. I've seen it grow, and congratulations.
Well, thank you. The pleasure's all mine because I get to learn from, one of the heroes today. And so I would love for people, let's start here. Let's just start with the basics because we have a lot of young listeners. And I would love for you to give them just a little bio on who you are and what do you do now. And then we're going to go back and find out how all this got started.
Okay. Well, let's see. Who I am. I am, you gave me a lot of credit, first of all. I'm just going to say thanks for all the credit, but no hero here. I'm just a gal that was bossy as a little girl, and I turned out to be a pretty bossy grown-up and a woman in dentistry, and started something. I always start something with saying yes, and it's always a quick response. If it feels good in my gut, I just say yes, and that's kind of how my career has grown. And I ended up, with Dental Entrepreneur Women, and that is the one that it seems to really touch my heart and touch the hearts of so many out there, which spawned off of Dental Entrepreneur and my career and all that. We can go back to that, but I'm just so blessed to be in this industry. I have 46 years of clinical hygiene, and retired in 2020 after 46 years in hygiene. And after the pandemic, I wanted to come back after the pandemic. That was important to me. And now I've been focused so much on growing communities in both Dental Entrepreneur and Dental Entrepreneur Woman.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
It's such a blessing. It's just like it feeds my soul.
Yeah. And so if you're not a D.E.W fan, D-E.W, you will be by the end of this. So take us back to the beginning. How did this all get started? Like when did the light go on for you? Say, I got to do this.
Well, I mean, it started back when I, moved 7 times or 10 times actually with my husband. I graduated from Ohio State in hygiene, and we moved 10 times. I took 7 state boards and ended up in Charlotte, North Carolina with 3 kids. And then Tom comes home and he goes, "Hey, I'm quitting my corporate job." And he's in the chemical industry. "I'm quitting my corporate job. We're not moving anymore. I don't want to move the kids." And I'm like, "That's great. And we will be millionaires," because he is so smart. He's very cute. And I just knew that was really exciting. We were both excited. This is super. Started his own chemical company. And so about a year and a half in, when we were totally broke and I was scared to death, and we were on our knees, and we would lay in bed at 2 a.m. and holding hands and crying and saying, "Oh, Lord, help us." I knew that at that point I needed to make more money. And with 3 kids, schlepping them around to sports and all that kind of stuff, because Tom traveled a lot, I ended up taking my first side gig, and that was OxyFresh, which was a network marketing company. And if you know me, and now that I know myself better, I'm good at network marketing because I like wooing people in, and especially if I believe in something, and I totally believed in the products. I said, why doesn't everybody know about this alcohol-free mouth rinse? And so I built the biggest team of female dental professionals in the company. And of course, the company's imploded on itself, but the products are still great, but it's not network marketing anymore. So I got my taste of owning my own business in that. Working 2 days a week, dipping in network marketing, or it's basically you own your own business within a business. And then, I forgot about some of this stuff, Kurt. Then I started my own fresh breath center. So my boss had a room in the back, and I had patients. I was on every newspaper cover in the health section. And people don't realize that. All you have to do is call the health editor and say, hey, I got a good story. And they'll put you on the front cover. And back in the day, it was about eliminating halitosis. So I did a fresh breath center. That was cool. Met a guy on the trade show floor, had a booth, and he was just starting Dental Entrepreneur. And he was going up against dental economics, and you'll like this. And so that was like David and Goliath. And I thought he was a great contact for me for my business. And lo and behold, maybe 4 months later, he called me, and his professional salesperson wasn't selling anything for advertising. And he asked me to come on board and sell advertising. So we launched it together way back, 23 years ago, I think 1998, something like that. And it was really fun. I loved it. I got to travel a little bit. I remember the first gig was the ADA conference in San Francisco. And it's the first time I ever traveled by, like myself without the kids. It was like so cool. And 3 years in, he was a journalist and had no passion for dental, and he didn't want to do it anymore. And I'm like, oh, look, you owe me some money. Why don't we just call it even and I'll take it over? So basically, I bought it from him, and I published Dental Entrepreneur Business Beyond the Classroom, because in the course of going up against dental economics, he switched gears, very clever, and went just to the dental schools. So we printed, box shipped all the dental schools, and twice a year. It was just really great. Business 101, because as you and I both know, they still do not get the business acumen that they need to be able to start their own business successfully. And so that was really fun. But fast forward, it got a little bit boring after a while. I did 4 times a year. I built that. And we switched gears to Dental Entrepreneur. Now we are Dental Entrepreneur, the future of dentistry. And that gives me and allows me the opportunity to actually highlight someone like you, who is an entrepreneur and in the business, and also dentists that have their own practices. But there's a lot of different, someone that's innovative in products, all of that. I love that. Like we were talking before we started, the story. How did you get there? Where were you? Where are you? Where are you going? So Dental Entrepreneur, the future of dentistry. Now, 8 years ago, because I've known so many different women in different career paths, because when I took over Dental Entrepreneur, I was gathering the stories, the authors from, the females and males in dentistry, also the marketing. And so I just knew a lot of different women in different career paths. And I heard a lot. I heard they weren't getting the gigs. They weren't getting the speaking gigs. They weren't making as much money. They weren't in the C-suite. They were missing out on promotions. We knew that dentistry was starting to shift from graduating dentists being, now almost 60% female. And one afternoon, I called a dear friend of mine in marketing. She was the one that always put my magazines under her booth at the shows and kept my second pair of shoes, and always called me back and always emailed me back. I loved her. And she was crying hysterically. And I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? And her boss at the company that she worked for, which was a major company, had written in her 360 review that her smile was insincere and it looked like she was plotting something against the company. And I'm like, what? I said, first of all, Sue, you're the most sincere person I know. And right. That is absolutely insane. Damn it. I am starting something to highlight the amazing women in dentistry. They're beautiful. They love beauty. They're caring. They're smart. All of the things that are just amazing about women. And I just really wanted to highlight them. And so I thought she was going to quit her job and come work with me, and we were going to do it together. And the next day she's like, I am the sole breadwinner of my family and I can't quit or start and do a startup.
Right.
And so I didn't care. I just powered through. I said how hard it could be. So that afternoon, I was on the back porch with my husband and Tom, and I said, okay, well, I'll just call it Dental Entrepreneur Woman because I already have Dental Entrepreneur. And that has exactly how Dental Entrepreneur Woman was conceived. It was,
Wow.
in an hour, hanging up the phone, getting the name, got the attorney, and that was all it was. I wanted to have a magazine to highlight women in dentistry. And,
Yeah.
now here we are 8 years later. We have this amazing community and a movement for women in dentistry with all sorts of yumminess in it. And just, it's a place, it's a place for women to find a spot at the table.
Yeah. It's so powerful. And you said it right. It is a movement. And how
Mhm.
has the vision or the heartbeat evolved over time? How would you describe that?
Well, initially it was highlight. And really quickly, I realized, no, this is to inspire and empower, and most importantly, connect all women in dentistry. And I don't care what you do in the different career paths. We're women first. We just happen to be in dentistry. And I realized the power of that. Um, People give me way too much credit, Kirk. I just opened the door and then they all start coming in, and good dues find good dues, and
Right.
that is principle number 3. And so yeah, it's something that evolves, and it's just, and it's not anything like man bashing. I love men. I mean, I'm people say dentistry was run by old white guys, and I love old white guys because I'm married to one for 40. It'll be 49 years, and I've got 2 great sons, and I love men. But I just felt that there's something special about having women in a room that are safe, can be authentic, that have no scarcity mentality, that are there to help and support each other. And that's how the movement started, and that's how the movement is going to continue.
Yeah. I just think you had a tough job when you started with highlighting powerful women. I'm like, you would have a difficult time selecting. There's too many to choose from,
Oh,
and where do
yeah.
you even start? And then
Yeah.
the sharing of the stories is so powerful. It's also talk about this, how it's evolved into the community aspect. So it started with the highlight and then inspiring, empowering, but you guys actually get together
Yeah.
regularly now. Can you talk
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, well, we started doing virtual coffees. So we have a couple of those a week. Well, 2 a week, and then 1 a month. We call it doing happy. So if you're not happy when you get there at 7 o'clock after a long day, you will be happy after you get off our 1 hour Zoom call. And so I think we started with that. And, I'm kind of like, I like having people over. So I started having coffees at my house and like, come on over, let's all get together, or let's meet at a restaurant. And then other areas, on the West Coast, they started, a couple of leaders would say, hey, let's do a little do meet up here. And then the meetings, let's do a do meet up. So that's how it evolves. And leaders step up.
Right.
We have attracted leaders in dentistry, or want to be leaders. I mean, I think I just feel women. This is really interesting because a lot of women feel like, oh, they're not an entrepreneur, so they can't be part of our organization. All women are entrepreneurial. All women spin 10 plates. And I know you're married to a beautiful wife and you've got 4 kids.
Yep.
And I would imagine your wife is a big conductor as far as where the kids are going, what's being done at the grocery, all of that, even though men are very helpful. And especially now, I think the young men really get it. But I think women are all entrepreneurial, and we're all spinning plates. And as I like to say, dancing backwards in high heels, and we can do it. We can
Yeah.
just about do anything. So we attract all those women. Doesn't matter what you're doing. So it's just a, sit around the table just like this, have coffee, and we talk about serious things that we wouldn't necessarily want to talk about um, if we didn't feel safe. If we didn't
Yeah.
feel safe. And it's so great. What I love about it too is just being able to understand each other's career paths. So as a young hygienist, I had no idea that all these career paths were available to dental hygiene. I was pretty much stuck in dental hygiene until I got my first side gig. Not that stuck is not a really great word because I loved clinical, but there's so many opportunities that I would never have known about. And then the leadership skills that you gain when you do those side gigs, when you jump into that, and you say yes, your speaking skills, your communication, writing, um, building, selling, marketing, all of those grow when you're in a community of women that have ideas that they're going to share. So that's another wonderful piece of this. I don't even ask if I answered your question, but the community. Oh, and then we had our first retreat. So that was really fun. I went to Dentistry Around. I give Jasmine Haley a lot of credit. Some of you, she's a speaker coach. But she's kind of outside of dentistry and inside of dentistry. She just helps everybody. But I remember meeting her. They were at a meeting at Dentistry Around. She called me up at 5:00 in the afternoon. She says, "Hey, we're all over here." And I think Emily Bogey was there, Amber Auger, Christine Berry, and Jasmine. And she said, "Can you come over and meet us for a drink?" I'm like, number one, I said, yes, I can. So I drove over. It was like 15 minutes away. And Jasmine's like, "When's your first retreat?" I'm like, "I know I want to do one. I don't know. Well, we're getting it on the calendar right now."
Yeah.
And we got on the calendar. We had the first retreat. I thought we'd have 12 women. We had 100. We sold out that one. And we were off to the races. So talk about community, Kirk. If I hadn't gone to that little, meetup and been supported by those amazing women in that meetup, who knows where I'd be right now? I mean, I might not have ever done what the one event a year, which has really blossomed, and we've sold out every year. And we're getting ready for November to have our 6th annual D.E.W retreat. So again, that's one little message of the power of what a community of women that are lifting you up can bring to you. And then they're younger than me. So in other words, they're lifting me up. And then once I get there, I am grabbing their arms and I'm pulling them up. So, I mean, if you got that ladder, it just keeps moving, and it doesn't matter who's on the top. It's just a matter of us not only mentoring each other, but advocating for each other. And I think that's a big key with our group, is we advocate for each other, for the wins, and we're there for the losses.
Totally. And you're such a giving person. I'm sure you've heard this one before, but you're not really a leader till you create other leaders that create other leaders. Like, it isn't one thing, if you know anything about what you've done, is you're not one of those people that really needs all the attention and all the credit and all those things. You you're very locked into the purpose behind this. And it's pretty powerful. Go back to the retreat though, because I want to ask you about this. Post-COVID, people are like, well, there's so much virtual options. Talk about the need for human beings to be together, because there's a big debate right now. No, yes. What have you found?
Oh my gosh. Well, we had a retreat during the pandemic, and it was very successful. I think everyone loved it. There is absolutely nothing about rubbing elbows, being in the same room with the energy, the ideas, the brainstorming. I mean, there's nothing like being together. I love I love both. I love Zoom. I feel like I can get to know people through Zoom. I mean, look at me, you and me. I mean, we've known each other. We've seen each other once maybe, but I feel like I know you through our Zoom conversation. So that's cool. But there's nothing like seeing you in person, giving you a hug, and just jumping up and down and saying, hey, let's have a few minutes to discuss something. So I think there's a real power opening up the world with one-on-one, person-to-person, belly-to-belly. But again, I love all the modalities. I think Zoom is fantastic. I don't particularly care for social media, but it has helped me get to know people and to reach out to people that I would not have the opportunity to know if it weren't for LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook and those kinds of things. So.
Yeah. And so if you're another thing, again, I could make this whole show about things I appreciate about you, is you are very inclusive. Like, you're always inviting people. And so if you're a male listening to this, you're like, well, this is really a movement around there. You have a dude like D.E. Can you talk about that? Like, invite, everyone's welcome to come, right?
I know. Well, let's just say they are welcome to belong to our community, because from the very first moment I started and it was before me too, by the way. I mean, this was like, just something that I had, I was like an Aaron Brockovich. I'm like, I'm going to do this. But men are so important. I mean, they're sitting already in the C-suite, and we need them to help us, mentor us. And I could never do what I'm doing if it wasn't for a great husband supporting me. And I also believe all you guys out there are supporting us. And so they always say they want to come to the retreat. I'm like, you guys, you can't come. You're a man, but you can be a dude. A dude, D-E-W-D, is a man that supports a woman in dentistry. And so we have 105 dudes right now. I started counting after a while. And so I make sure that every dude knows what their number is. And then the only thing I ask of them is to tattoo it either on their right or their left shoulder so that they don't forget. And so no one's done that yet. But when I went to the Dental Speaking Institute, and thank you, Vanessa, for having that great program last weekend. I saw somebody, I said, what's your number? He goes, 100. Another guy says, I'm 92. So, it's fun. I'd love to eventually get together with the do's and the dudes, because I think that would be really cool, because, there's so many, Kurt, there's so many great guys and gals in dentistry. We just, and again, if you keep attracting guys and gals that don't have scarcity mentality, that don't gossip, that honor people in their absence, that give people the benefit of the doubt, no judging. There's so many, those are a lot of our principles. You're going to build a great community, and it's going to be better for the whole world if dentistry is a better inclusive community, because we do well together and not separately.
I love it. So go back to this. You said 60% of graduates are now female. And you look at the leadership positions, it's been great. It's been amazing to watch so many women step into those roles. Can you speak to this from your perspective? We've come a long way, but do we still have a long way to go?
Yes, we really do. I thought we were further along. Right. I mean, when I started this, I was kind of naive. I hear stories every day as I'm on Zoom with all sorts of women that I haven't met, that were referred or whatever, found us on LinkedIn or whatever, social media. We have a long way to go. Right. We really do. The doors are opening, and part of what I want to do too, Kirk, is to want women to be empowered and want them to know that you can get in the C-suite. You can do things like this, and you can still find balance. And I think that the world has opened up. I mean, the pandemic is good on that. They've helped us see that the mindset is really important. And, the other thing I see, Kirk, is I see a shift in leadership in the CEOs. It used to be you had to be the strategic guy, the analytical, the really strong, gruff personality. Now the soft skills are really coming around to, like, that's how you build a beautiful team. Someone that has a little bit more empathy, a little of the traits that female leadership, it comes naturally to females. So I think in the future, we're going to see more women rising to the ranks, seeing that they can really grow a business, a company, because of the soft skills that they inherently have. And it's just it's natural for us. So we just have to keep, again, advocating for themselves. It used to be that there was only one seat, at the table for a woman, and so she really had to hold on to that seat. And now you realize, no, you don't have to hold on, because there's more room, there's more seats there. And so be generous. Bring your fellow female that you see have the leadership skills. Bring them in. Help them get where they need to go. Help them get where they want to go. And I think the world will be a better place.
I totally agree. I would echo that sentiment a million times. I have 6 people on my leadership team, and 4 of them are female, and they are powerful. I don't mess with them. And having three daughters and an amazing wife at home, I think it's just great when collectively you can put a great voice to this and some of the challenges, and people feel very, very supportive in this whole process. I absolutely love it.
Well, one thing I wanted to tell you too, we did a documentary for women in dentistry, and Studio 8 put that together. It's beautiful. It's you've got to watch it, because the timeline and what just happened, just like when you think of 1972, women couldn't even get a credit card in their own name. Kirk, I mean, this is like stuff that just kind of blows your mind. Yeah. In fact, Victoria Peterson did the timeline of what women could do when they could vote, what the things that have happened. So again, this is our time. This is our time. And if you want it, go for it. Find your community, and wonderful things can happen with for your life and your career.
I have to be able to see that So, will you send me a link to that?
Yeah, I will send you a link to that. I would
So,
love to do that. I
yeah.
think
So if
it's on
you're,
our site. I think it's on our site too, DEW.life, but I will send you the link because I would love you to see it. It's very, very powerful.
so here's what I'm going to do. So if you're listening to the podcast, you can flip up to the show notes and I'll put a link in right in the show notes so you can click there. And I'm going to encourage you to watch it because I will. Go
Thank
right
you.
there. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. So, we talked about a little bit about where this started, where you're at now. I love this. This is one of my favorite questions. You're writing an incredible book. What's the next chapter?
The next chapter, oh golly, that's a tough one to see. The next chapter is legacy.
Tell me more.
I'm really thinking about that a lot right now. In fact, I talked to a few people over the weekend. I mean, what we're building here is getting big, and I'm one person, and I've got a fabulous team. I absolutely am in a place where I love my team right now. But I would love to see this carried on because what I've seen is it's inspired young women to see that there is an opportunity here to grow in their career, to have the best career that they've ever thought of, which obviously, flows out into your life. So I'd love to see this carried on. And I'd like to like, I don't know if I've ever will step away, but it is not about me. It is about all the women in a cohesive group. Everybody is special. I truly believe everybody has special gifts. And my gifts lend themselves to building this thing, to starting this thing. But I'm looking for women to carry it on. And I think that's the next chapter is how is that going to look? How are we going to do it so that everybody feels that they belong at our table and they want to stay there for dessert. They might come for hors d'oeuvres, but I'd like to have them stay for dessert and then come back.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Talk about the subject comes up a lot, mentorship, and it kind of falls into this traditional type thinking. When you think about mentorship or helping this, generation, this younger generation or any generation, can you talk about that and how Do has stepped into that?
I think the fourth pillar that we have is connection. And connection breeds mentorship. So we don't have a formal mentorship like I'm mentoring a couple of people and everybody's got this formal thing. We just pretty much all mentor each other. So like on the coffees, we'll bring up somebody will bring, hey, what's top of mind today? And then you've got 30 women weighing in on that, understanding where you're coming from. All of us have been there because everybody has a story of, not feeling worthy, not being enough, not getting chosen, being broke, there's so many. I mean, just you go down the line. So I think that is the key is the community brings on mentorship that you may not be able to label it as mentorship, but I do know, and I say this often, if you have a problem or you have a win, call a do.
Yeah.
And we try to make sure that everybody at the retreat, we're going to have 220 women. And we're not sold out yet. So just, we were just getting started with our program or our marketing for it. You'll know those women and you can call those women. I need this. I need that. I love your advice. How can I help you? I've got this. I can help you with this. So that's what I see that as mentorship. I really do because I have been mentored I've got a problem. I call somebody that's like really good at, what they're doing and they could be in their early 30s. And then they'll call me maybe for sage advice because I don't, that's all I got, Kirk. I think sage advice, but a life lived here in this industry. But I don't know if that answers your questions, but that's kind of how I see it. I don't see it as much as formal as just as like being, hey, we're in a community of women that support each other.
Yeah, I totally agree. I always love the idea of not being the smartest person in the room or always feeling the need to have the answer. So many people around me have better answers and have better perspectives. And I think in a day and age, I mean, you could take any part of this apart, like being an entrepreneur, being a woman, being a dentist, being, in the dental profession, sometimes being a professional, it feels lonely at times. And
Yeah.
I mean, feeling a connection, we all have a deep, need for connection around something that truly matters. And when that happens, you can find a little bit more, meaning at work. So you're speaking my language. I absolutely love what you're up to. Now, also too, like I want to speak to this because I love what you're doing so much. I want people to check out the magazine. I want them to check out the community. What do most people get wrong about D.E.W? Like, is there anything that people get, you're like, no, that is not what this is about?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on that. And then women think they have to be an entrepreneur. No, you just have to be a woman. Come join us because, it's really, we're just talking, honestly, our content in the magazine, when you look at, if you go and you can go on the site and all the past magazines are basically about being a woman. And we have success and leadership and all that. Nothing's clinical in there. It's just about things that we have to deal with and how we overcame. And I think that gives everybody hope that, wow, that's me. That was me. I really resonated with that. And something else that's funny, Kirk, when our last retreat, we had 10 principles, and one of the ones was kind of bugging me. I didn't really like it because it was fake it until you believe it. So I really believe none of us are faking it. We are all doing it, right? We are doing it. And so we eliminated that one, and then we plugged in the answers in the ladies' room. And the answers in the ladies' room. And so my book is going to be the answers in the ladies' room. And so again, you get us all together, and it's just something magical happens. It just really, you walk away with ideas, with just the idea that it's going to be good. It's going to be great, and nothing's going to keep us down. And you might have a bad day today, but wake up tomorrow, it's going to be great because we know more people and we have more access to information and to help, to inspiration and friendship.
Yeah. Amen. I am so proud of you, and we hardly know each other, but I'm so proud of you for what you've done. So
thank you.
We're going to tell everybody where to go to learn more, to not only watch the documentary, but also get the magazine and the event. But before we do, give us some final thoughts. If anyone's listening to this, they've never heard of D.E.W before, wrap this up for us.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'd love to. I would just say, show up, show up, say yes, come sit with us, check us out. We're here for you. Our arms are open. And if you don't want to join, I'm not really a joiner. I got to tell you that. So I get it. It's like $139 a year to join D.E.W. So it's not, it's like a dinner out these days. But we have a free newsletter. We'd love to have you in that. And, if you have goals, we'd love you to write for us because you need to be an expert in your field. You need to be perceived as an expert. And one of the member benefits is you can write for us anytime. So we we push out blogs, we push out articles, we publish 4 times a year. So, hey, put a toe into D.E.W, dip in, and we hope that you'll stay with us. But we'll love you whether you stay forever or for a short time. And if you want to come back, you're always welcome.
I love it. I love it. You guys have to check that out. I'm going to put links down in the show notes to all that we've mentioned in this podcast. And Anne, I'm just going to say, keep doing what you are doing and changing the world the way you are. So I appreciate you so much for being on today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kirk. And I would just say, keep doing you.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So stick around while we say goodbye to everybody else. But thank you guys for listening to the Best Practices Show. Hey, if you enjoyed today, which I hope you did, do us a favor, hit the share button with your friends. Keep sending us suggestions for things you guys want to see. And again, make sure you check out those links. Check out what Anne's doing and that entire amazing community. You'll be so glad you did. So until we see you guys next time, or you hear from us next time, keep watching or keep listening to the Best.
Thanks, Kirk.
Practices. Thank you.
Thank
Anne.
you, Kirk. Oh,
everybody have
pleasure.
a good day.